Now, today is officially day number 2 of our binary options bootcamp. Tonight, we're going to be going over strategy. We're going to be going over the indicators. We're going to be launching the official indicators. Yesterday, we went over our, our ROCKSTARR 3x knockout, okay, system. If you guys weren't on, you're definitely going to want to tune into that. We have a 3x knockout system that is probably one of the only systems that you can put into place when it comes to binary options trading to make sure that you remain profitable and are able to grow a consistent profitable account without the guessing, without the randomness, and with a fire risk to reward. So I showed you guys yesterday how to risk just about 2% of your account with the potential to make 10% and even more than that in some cases, right? So risking 2% to make over 10% is a fire risk to reward. We debunked all of the whole like, oh, binary options is not great because of the risk to reward. It's all about having systems. When you have systems in place, guys, everything else just falls in line. It just makes sense. So real quick, guys, if you were on yesterday's live stream, go ahead and drop some ones in the chat for me real quick. If you weren't, drop some zeros. And as you're dropping zeros, make sure that after this stream, you go back and you watch that stream, because this is going to put the strategy in place for you. But that one is the system that you have to utilize to make sure that as you're using the strategy, your account is growing, and not just growing, but it's growing fast. So super excited. By the end of this stream, guys, you guys will all know the full setup. You'll know how to use the indicators. You'll know how to set them up step by step and what it is that we should be looking for in the market. And we'll have a clear understanding moving into day number 3, which is going to be Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. So definitely stay tuned to that. Now, really quick, guys, let's talk about a few things. So why do people tend to fail when it comes to trading? Just in general, trading indicators or trading binary options? I believe most of it is just overcomplicated fluff that is taught online. Just keeping it real with y'all, because you kind of got to stay clueless for people to make money. that's just what it is. Somebody has to be winning, somebody has to be making money. On top of that, indicators tend to be known as lagging indicators, and there's not a lot of real context on how to use certain indicators. You'll get the basics of it, but I believe that when it comes to indicators, it's all about confluence and not necessarily using them as a full strategy one by one by itself, but learning how to put them together, learning how to build that confluence in the market and get multiple confirmations to eventually lead to a precise entry point for you guys. Now, with binary options, it's an all or nothing style of trading, and it's based off of time and price, which means that we have to be in for a good period of time, so the right period of time, and we have to get in at the right price. There is no stop loss, trailing stops, doing all that kind of stuff. Where we enter is where we enter, and where we exit is going to be whenever that clock runs out. So you have to get good at kind of pinpointing your entry points and not just, leaving it up to almost randomness to say, okay, this is the area that I'm going to get in, and if I'm correct, so on and so forth. So that's why I put these presets together for you guys. On top of that, if you're using TradingView, a lot of you probably have the free version of TradingView where you're only allowed to use 3 indicators at a time. Okay, with these presets, it's only going to be 2 indicators that I'm going to show you guys today, but there are multiple different layers of things that are happening with these 2 indicators. Essentially, if you didn't have these 2, you would have to have a lot more on your screen when it comes to TradingView, and you'd probably have to upgrade your TradingView to be able to even get something like what it is that I'm going to teach you guys tonight. So let's jump into the charts, man. Let's get it. Okay, so moving into today, guys, obviously this is day number 2 of the boot camp. I want to teach a few things before we get into the actual strategy itself. Okay, so when you're trading, guys, understand this: the markets only move in 3 directions. It is super simple. The markets go up, as you guys know. The markets go down, as you guys know. And on occasion, the markets will go sideways. Just moving sideways, some sideways movement, okay? The big misconception in trading is that people tend to only make money when the markets are either pushing up, right? Or when the markets are pushing down. The reason why I like binary options is because it made it so simple for me. When I was a brand new trader, kind of just starting to make money on the scalping side, I got introduced to binaries. And it was just like, it was crazy how fast I learned it and started to see some profits. But it was even more crazy how fast I was able to put other people onto it and how fast they got it. And once I started to see like my friends like making money with it, I was like, yo, this is crazy, because these were all people that had, number one, no interest in trading, or number two, had an interest in trading, but struggled, and they were able to learn this just like this. And the reason being is because it's a simple concept. Number one, we can make money in all markets, whether that be up, down, or even those consolidated, ranging, sideways moving markets, okay? And it's just a matter of knowing what it is that you look for in the market. So as you guys are trading, like I said, only 3 directions. Don't overcomplicate it. Typically, you get paid for the amount that the price moves in the market. That's typical. You'll typically get paid for how much the price has moved, as long as you're in that buy or sell, okay? With binaries, it's a set risk and a set reward, okay? So from the very beginning, we know exactly how much we're risking and exactly how much we're going to make, as long as we are correct within a certain period of time. So that's why yesterday's live stream is so important. If you guys haven't watched that, make sure you watch that, because we went over risk to reward and how to maximize on that risk to reward, okay? So let's get into the actual indicators. So now we know how the market moves, how we're making money. Let's talk about a few things. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to TradingView.com. I like to use TradingView for a few reasons. Number one, because you have more options. You have more options in tools. You have more options in, the different indicators and stuff like that that you guys can use. You have more options in currencies, in commodities and that kind of stuff. You have more options in exchanges, but most importantly, you have the options of choosing your exchange and which prices you want to go based off of. You go to your indicators tab and search this up, okay? ROCKSTARR FX. Keeping it super simple for y'all. All right, and that's me, okay? So once you search up ROCKSTARR FX, there's going to be 2 indicators here. Number one, you're going to have your session sniper bands, and then number 2, you're going to have your stochastic cross indicator. All right, if you guys are following along, you can go ahead and you can follow along with me right now. I'll show you how all of that looks, okay? What we're going to start with is we're going to start with our session sniper bands. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that to the screen. All right, now yours might look a little bit different. Mine's are default, all right, because I saved them. So first and foremost, before we get into the indicator itself, let's look at, all the settings and stuff. So you can completely customize this to whatever you want, color-wise. You can customize the sessions. You can customize all these different things. All these different things. All right, I'm just going to show you this, and then I'll show you what mine look like. All right. This is what the default looks like. So this is probably what yours looks like when you add it to your screen. All right. And before we go ahead and customize them, there's a few things that we're going to talk about. So what this preset consists of is a few things. Number one, 2 Bollinger Bands. All right. And if you don't know what the Bollinger Bands are, again, we're going to get into that training, but there's 2 Bollinger Bands on here. You have your session indicators, so you guys can keep track of what sessions, all right, you're trading on. So London session, Tokyo session, New York session. I don't have Australian session here because there's no reason to trade Australia. So it's a big blank space, right? Sydney session, right? So we don't have to worry about Sydney, okay? But you got your sessions there, okay? And then lastly, okay, so there's 3 on here. Lastly, you're going to see these little triangles or these little arrows. What these are is these are engulfing candles. Let's talk about the sessions indicator real quick before we move on, because that's like the majority of this part right here. So the reason why I have the sessions indicator on here, I personally like to use it to identify the different sessions that I'm trading. It's one, good for identifying sessions, but number 2, it's also good for backtesting. So as you guys are backtesting different strategies, if the sessions are already highlighted, it's easy to just go to them. So like, you'll have New York, London, Tokyo, whatever session you trade or whatever session you're backtesting on, instead of trying to look at the times down at the bottom, you'll just scroll back and they'll tell you exactly, from here to here, which sessions are which, right? So number 1, they're good for backtesting, all right? Number 2, what I like to do with them is just keep track of what sessions I'm trading, how it looks, as well as the overlays and the overlaps. And then on top of that, we have a few things here on the settings. So you have the average price per session. You can have that there. That's good for backtesting and knowing how much, whatever currency pair you guys are trading, how much it moves during the session. What you'll find is that there's typically, going to be an average price. So it's almost always the same. Now, if you're new to trading, it probably wouldn't matter to you. But as you become more experienced, you would want to know the average range of how much the markets move during whatever trading session you are trading. Okay? So what's also on there is for each of those sessions, you'll have obviously the name and the open and close line. So for this one right here, this will be the top, will be the open, the close, right? So the top, this right here is the close of this session. This right here is the open of this session. Okay? This is good depending on what strategies you trade. I sometimes use it for ORBs, right? Because you can customize the time frame for these sessions as well. And then lastly, the tick range. So understanding how much the market's moved during that session once again. Okay? Now, if we're looking at the actual sessions section itself, it's pretty cool. Okay? Because you can fully customize this. So like, for example, for this strategy, binary options, I keep it like this. But then I have another layout that I use, which is right over here. And I use the sessions indicator a little bit different to where I will have, as you guys can see here, I customize it, 15-minute New York open, right, from 8 to 8:15. So this will be the candle. So the candle itself. So this is that 15-minute opening candle. And then I trade New York session with this strategy in particular, right? So however you want to customize it, you can do that, is my point. So just play around with that, guys. If you guys have any questions, you can always ask me in the Discord. Not an issue. You can change your symbols, everything like that. So let's get into the indicator itself, okay? And start talking about the strategy a little bit. When we're trading our strategy, how many of you here are familiar with the 3-step setup? So this indicator preset right here just makes it super simple, okay? Straight to the point, none of the extra stuff. I know we was using a different preset before, so I made this for you guys to keep it even more simpler than what it already is and to show you exactly what it is that I have on my charts, all right? So as you guys know, when we're trading, all right, we're looking for confluence in the market. So there's 3 steps that we're going to follow, okay? The first one is going to be making sure that our markets themselves are overbought or oversold. So when we're looking at our sniper bands, right, we got top sniper bands and we got bottom sniper bands. So these are the top sniper bands up here. Boom. And these are our bottom bands down here. Now again, your chart or your colors are completely customizable. I keep mine's red and blue. Just to keep it simple. Red and blue. Okay? What this does is these bands right here identify strong zones or strong areas where the markets are typically going to reverse based off of the overbought and oversold concept. All right. So the idea is that we want to see the markets come at or near either the bottom or the top of these bands. Depending on where they are, that will determine if we're buying or if we're selling. So whenever the markets come at or near the top bands, like here, for example, New York session, all right, we would be looking for sells in the market. Okay. And the reason why we're looking for sells in the market, who can tell me, is because when the market comes to the top, that is an overbought market. Okay. So whenever it comes to this top right here, all right, we should be looking for sells in the market. Now you guys can see clear as day. This happens again and again and again. Whenever we come to that top area, right, I can show you guys this over and over and over again. The market typically falls off. We fall off. Over and over and over again. Okay? When we get to the bottom of the market, which is my blue bands, my color is blue. Okay? When we get to the bottom of the market, obviously we're looking for buys. because our markets are oversold. And that is typically when people tend to buy. Again, you guys see this. It'll happen again and again and again. This isn't stuff that I make up. This isn't stuff that I came up with myself. I'm just teaching you how it works. So you guys see, we're at that blue area. Blue area goes up. All right. Blue area goes up. Okay. Blue area goes up. So this happens again and again and again and again and again and again, so on and so forth. I can keep going with 100 different arrows on the screen. Okay. This isn't random. This is all in the strategy. All right. Let me show you how it works, and then we're going to get into it, breaking it down right after. Okay. So boom. So that's how we're going to use our Bollinger Bands. Okay. That's how we're going to use our Bollinger Bands. Very simple. Sniper bands on deck. All right. Now these sniper bands, I already have the settings set up for y'all, so y'all don't have to figure out the settings yourself. These are the exact settings I use. I've been using for years, and they work great. All right, so you don't have to figure it out on your own. So that's step number one. We want to make sure our sniper bands are either overbought or oversold. That's it. Step number two. Okay, step number two is going to be this indicator down here. What you're going to want to do is go to the indicators. Again, type in ROCKSTARR FX, and you're going to add the stochastic cross indicator. This one right here. Okay, once you add that, it's going to add to the bottom of your screen. Yours might look a little bit different than mine because, again, I just customized mine. Okay, so I don't remember how the default looks, but I customized my colors. You can customize the shading, all of that different stuff. In terms of the settings, keep the settings the same. But if you want to switch up your colors, you can do that. All right. And if you want to get rid of these shaded zones, you can get rid of those too and just keep it like this. I kind of like it. At first, I didn't like it, but I kind of like it like that. Okay. And I'll explain what it is that we're looking at right here. All right. Okay. All right. So same exact concept for the this cross indicator. Okay. Same exact concept. We are still looking for overbought and oversold. This is how this works. Very simply, these white lines that we have right here are momentum in the market. So this is momentum. Whenever our momentum crosses above this 80%, and 80% for you will probably be green. For me, it's blue, right? Whenever we cross above this 80%, this is considered an overbought market. So right here we have overbought. Right here we have overbought. Right here we have overbought. Okay? Anytime the markets become overbought, you're going to see this little shaded area in the background. So this is the one that I was telling you. You can either turn on or off. It's completely up to you. All right. So if you just go to the indicator settings, that's this right here. Shaded overbought, oversold zones. So you see that shade OB/OS zones? You can turn it on. You can turn it off. It's completely up to you. All right. So whenever it becomes overbought, you're going to see the shade in the background. And that shade is just letting you know that we are in an overbought area. Okay. Very simple. Same thing for the opposite side. Whenever it becomes oversold, you're going to see a little shade in the background. That's going to be green. You can turn it off if you don't like it. That's perfectly fine. That's going to let you know we're in an oversold area. Oversold. So even like this area right here, for example, you might say, well, why would I need it? You don't always need it. But even this area right here, for example, we were in oversold very briefly, but we never actually, got heavily into this. That's why you never got your buy signal. All right. We'll get into the buy signals in just a second. All right. So whenever the markets become overbought or oversold, that is what we're looking for. So we want confluence between our charts and our stochastics. Very simple. We want our charts and our stochastics to show us the same thing. And if they don't, we are not taking the trade. So we'll look at some examples of how this would work. And we can start at the New York session one back here if you want. So first thing that we're going to look at is simple. As we said, we want to make sure that our markets are either overbought or oversold. We always start with the candles themselves. So if we look at this example, markets come to the bottom. Okay, markets are at the bottom. And what we're doing is we're looking for buys. So first confirmation, are we oversold on the Bollinger Bands? The answer is yes. Okay, we're oversold on Bollinger Bands. I'm going to make this a little darker. Okay, so oversold on Bollinger Bands. What about on the stochastics? Yep, we're kind of bouncing in and out there, but we are oversold on the stochastics as well. Okay, oversold on the stochastics. All right. So now that we got both of those confluences there, okay, now we're going to look for an entry point. So yes, this is the 3-step setup. But step number 3 is more based on market structure. It's based on support resistance, right? We're going to get more into that tomorrow. I'm going to show you just the indicator side of this strategy. Not tomorrow, on Thursday, sorry. So we'll get more into that on Thursday. Tonight, I'm going to show you the indicator side of the strategy and how profitable just the indicators alone are going to be, even without understanding support and resistance for some of the newer people that are here. All right. So we're going to focus on the 2 steps. So step 1, obviously, boom, Bollinger Bands are good. Step, boom, boom, confluence is good. Okay. Okay. Now, what we want to see is now that both of these are showing oversold, okay, what we want to see is we want to see our stochastics, which is our momentum line, cross in the direction that we are looking to trade. So in this example, we're looking for buys. We want to see them cross up, which, as you guys can see, we got that right there. Now, what's cool about this, the indicator that we have here, is that it actually gives you buy signals at the candle that you should be entering at. So your stochastics are going to give you buy signals at the candle you should be entering at. Okay? So you guys see the B right there? B obviously stands for buy. Okay? So here's how it works. Stochastics cross up. What we want to do is we want to see a candle closing out in the direction that we're looking to trade. And I always say my favorite candles to trade are going to be engulfing candles. And aside from that buy signal that you get on the stochastic, when you get your engulfing candle, you're also going to get your little arrow right here, which will show you that it is an engulfing candle. So the visuals are just absolutely on point for you. So you get your confluence between your indicators, which is your Bollinger Bands and your stochastics oversold. Then you identify your entry point. Your stochastic has to cross up. In this example, once the stochastic crosses up, we're going to wait for that candle to close. Okay? And it doesn't have to close engulfing, but I just personally like to close engulfing or some other indication of a candlestick reversal. I like engulfings. Engulfings work best. And then once that happens and it closes out, you guys know I like to trade 3-candle rule. And what that is just getting into that position for about 2 to 3 candlesticks long, depending on, how far you trade. All right. Now, I typically do my markups on the 5. I would usually enter this trade for about anywhere between probably 10 to 15 minutes, right? Or 12 to 15 minutes, somewhere around there. So if you're just doing 3 candles, for example, you have 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candle, you would have closed in profit right up here. Just following the 2 steps of the indicator. Okay. First example done. Easy work. All right. Let's look at where the next example might be. All right. So yes, we're in the Bollinger Bands here. All right. But no, we are not where we need to be at down here. So that wouldn't be valid. Over here, yes, we are stochastics here. I wouldn't take this trade. Just doesn't look like a good setup to me personally. Why? Because this is an uptrending market and we're not even in the oversold area. So I'm not going to look at that either. The next solid one would be right here. As you guys can see, we are at our Bollinger Bands. All right. And obviously this is not live right now. But when you are live, let's see if we can get on the market replay. All right. Yeah, so boom. You guys will be able to see this a lot better. All right. So we're at the Bollinger Bands. We are stochastic. I mean, we are overbought on the stochastic. Markets come down. We got our stochastic cross right here. Boom. You guys see that? Right at that sell signal. Okay. We do get the engulfing candle. And obviously that candle is going in our direction. So we go ahead and we enter at the open of the new. New candle opens. 1, 2, 3. And we would have cleared. Right there. So far we are 2 for 2 on the strategy. Just using indicators, not even using market structure, support, resistance, all that kind of stuff yet. Okay, just using the indicators alone. All right, so that's New York session. Let's go over to Tokyo session real quick. All right. So this right here would all be Tokyo session from here to here. So right here, did we reach the Bollinger Bands? Yeah, we're kind of there. This candle wicked it, right? We're kind of there, but we never become oversold. So this will not be a trade. We never hit the oversold mark. All right, you guys following? Make sure you get all of your confirmations. We want to do it right. All right, so we wait. We won't get in here. We'll wait for the market to reach a high, which it does right here. All right. And this is a little choppy, but it's all good. We'll still test it out, see what we're looking like. I did not look at these ahead of time, so these are not like determined trades or whatever, right? So here we are at our Bollinger Bands. So perfect. We get our confluence. We get our Bollinger Bands. Perfect confirmation. At the same time, we're at the Bollinger Bands. We see the shaded area. So we are overbought on our stochastics. We got our red shading area right here. So we are overbought. So now we're just waiting for our stochastic cross. Let's go ahead and market replay. See what we're looking like. And when we get it. All right, nothing yet. All right. So we actually got the stochastic cross right here on this bullish candle, which is definitely different. So we got our sell signal. Cross down. It was actually between the candles. If I go back and show you guys. So when we were at this candle, you guys see, we still didn't cross. And this happens. You see here, we still didn't cross. So even though it was a bearish candle, some of you guys would have answered too early, right? We still didn't cross and we did not get our confirmation from the bottom. So on this next one, right in the middle, boom, that's what we crossed out at. Okay, so what do we do then? After we get the cross, after we get the sell signal, what do we do? All right, wait for the candle to close in our direction. Typically, we want to see that engulfing. Boom, we got both of them right there. Engulfing signal. Candle going down. Perfect. Let's see if this plays out. You Again, I don't know. I didn't check it. Okay. And it always depends too on like when you're actually trading. Your actual entry point obviously makes the biggest difference, right? So looking back at market replays aren't the most accurate when it comes to binary options, but they still work. Ooh, that would have been close. So that would have been a close one, right? Depending on where your entry was, that would have been close. But most of you would have still cleared. Like I said, I don't do full 3 candles. I try to do a little bit. I try to make my expiration a little bit before that 3rd candle close. Because we all know, if you've been trading for a while, you've experienced this. Towards the close of like these major candles, 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute candles, the market tends to jump up and down really a lot towards the end of it. So although it's called the 3 candlestick rule, I usually go a little bit less than 3 candles. So usually, like I said, in the beginning, probably about 12 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, somewhere around there, right? But this was close, but you're still clear. So we're still good on this. All right, I'm just showing you guys how the indicators work again. So look, again, this is very beginner friendly. At the beginning, Bollinger Bands are here. Stochastics are red as well. You guys see that? Confluence is there. All right, step number 1 is done. Step 2, stochastic cross right here. So we got the stochastic cross and we got the sell signal. Okay, we didn't get the engulfing, but remember, the engulfing is just added confluence. We don't always need it. All right, and there goes the clear. 3 candles down, 2.5, 3 candles down. You would have cleared that trade. So far we are 100% when it comes to these setups. We can say 90%. We can say 90% because, again, depending on where you got in on this one, you may or may not have lost. I likely would have cleared that, though. I likely would have cleared. Really close, but I would have cleared. So we'll do one more example. Let's look a little bit closer to where we are right now in the markets, because we are in Tokyo session right now. All right. So let's look at right now. All right. This one would have been okay, but we did not get all of our confirmation. So we'll close up right after this. We are oversold here, okay, but we did not get oversold on our stochastics. So we got to make sure we're following all of the rules. All right, we got to follow all the rules. So let's go back one. Let's go back over here. This will be the last example that we do. Boom. As you guys can see, markets are pushing up. We are in that Bollinger Band, Sniper Band area. Boom. All right. We do also get the overbought stochastics. Boom. We wait for our cross and our sell signal, which we got right here. Boom. We go ahead and we enter at the new candle as long as it went in our direction. And as you guys would have seen, very simply, entry 1, 2, boom, cleared, 3, clear. So again, we have our sniper bands, which is a zone set of 2 Bollinger Bands on the top and 2 on the bottom. We have our here, our engulfing candle indicator, which is a high probability indicator for obviously the market switching directions, reversals. And then we have our stochastics oscillator on the bottom, but it is a custom stochastic that gives you overbought and oversold zones with buy and sell signals when the stochastics actually cross. And then as an added bonus, we have our sessions indicator. I just like having sessions on the screen with the session data because that helps me. We'll wrap it up for tonight, guys. So super, again, just excited for obviously being able to use these indicators. Excited to see you guys use the indicators. Obviously post them up. If you don't have me on Instagram, make sure you add me at RockStarrFX. Tag me anytime that you guys are on the charts. If you're not already in the Discord, we do have a fire trading community. in which we talk, we interact, we do all types of stuff together. So make sure you guys are in the Discord. And if you are brand new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. This is all completely free knowledge, completely free education when it comes to trading. The goal here is to teach you guys how to do it on your own, not to do it for you. Okay. So again, as always, this is your boy Rico, aka Rockstar. Thanks guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the session. I'm out. Peace.